So I was going to start on this engine cradle, but then I noticed that if I build the engine cradle, I'm not going to be able to access the steering rack. Now, I was maybe going to switch out the steering to an older style steering with the actual box, but you know what? I'm going to hold off on that, and I'm going to try to use the stock steering, because if I can use the stock steering, that means for the next one I get, it's going to be so much easier to get this done. So what I've done is I actually pulled off the stock piece that went there, and I actually pushed the pin through, but it's hardened steel. I'm not having a great time with it. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to pull the steering column out of the car, and then I'm going to see what I'm dealing with. I want a slider in this shaft. It doesn't have to be a great slider, even if it's just the shaft through a couple bearings is my slider. But we will see what we can do, and hopefully we can use the stock steering shaft and then just modify it to fit the needs that we want. Now that we got the steering column out, good news is it has a slider. So all we have to do now is to make that slide, and then we can start attaching our steering. And this U-joint's pretty much cooked anyway. So maybe I'll take this piece right off and then modify it to fit the new piece that I got. Who knows? We'll see. Try to do something. So we're back to the steering now, and we've kind of just given up on this piece of shit. I basically broke everything out of it, so I had to go to town and I had to buy a whole bunch of stuff. I broke the universal out of it and everything. So I ended up having to go to town and buy a piece of 5/8 rod, because the 9/16 they don't carry, and they don't have 9/16 bearings, so I have to basically get rid of all my 9/16 rod. And I had to cut this shorter, because when I cut it shorter, I was going to use it for the stock steering column, and now that isn't going to work. So the first thing we're going to do is pound this out, drill a hole, put that in, and probably put some weld around it. And then after that, I bought all these bearings. These are just TSC bearings with lock and collars on them. And what we're going to do is we're going to put these on, and then we're going to use these to pick up the stock steering column mounts, and then we're going to drill holes to fit the bearings. And then we're going to slide the shaft in, lock it in place, all that fun stuff. So basically, this is what we end up with here. We got the new piece of rod into the U-joint, and we got our two bearings on there. Those plates I showed you are already drilled and bolted in. Now basically, there's still a lot of welding to do on this, but this is going to be our slider. And because we're putting it so close to the front of the car, that's going to be plenty of slide for the steering column. It can go farther, but you really got to force it. But that's plenty, and we are more than, like the shaft is right there, so there's plenty inside of there. So now let's get this into the car. It's going to be extremely easy. All you do is you just feed it through the hole. Now, you do have to, I'm going to slide it in there, because once it's bolted in, I'm telling you right now, there's no effing way I'm taking that back out. So basically there, I still have to weld all the way around there, so that's still to come. And then just bolt those bearings up, which is extremely easy, and I'll have it done within 5 minutes, and I'll show you. Well, I got all this in. So I actually did cut this out a bit here. I'm probably going to trim it a bit more for a little bit of more clearance around the steering shaft. I got all the interior in here. You can see all the bearings down inside there. And there's all my little plates that I built holding the bearings up. Still got to tighten 2 out of the bolts. But after about the last 30 minutes, I'm smashing this steering wheel apart. This is the stock Ford steering wheel. I don't think it's going to work. So I'm going to head on eBay tonight after I'm done out here in the workshop and see if I can buy myself an aftermarket quick remove wheel, steering wheel with a 5/8 input shaft to see what I can get. And yeah, other than that, the steering is done. And I've welded it all up so that when it comes time, I can quickly remove it out of this car and I can put it inside the next Crown Vic. So everything's pretty much flying along pretty damn fast, and I'm pretty happy with the progress we're making. So now, I guess time to move on to the motor. But glad to see the steering's out of the way. I still don't have a steering wheel in it, so I can't sit in it and turn. But other than that, that's just about done. So, yay, another one off the list.